There are still a lot of people wondering how Donald Trump managed to beat Hillary Clinton in the 2016 presidential race. The confusion seems to stem from the misguided way in which most people view American politics. The conventional wisdom would have you believe that American politics is best represented by a spectrum, with the left and far left on one side, the right and far right on the other side, and a group of moderates in the middle. But this isn't the most appropriate way to view American politics. A better way is to view the American political landscape as a circle. We still have a divide between the left and right, but the much more important division is between the top and bottom. On the top are what we might call corporatists, or, using more recent jargon, establishment candidates. I've also heard this portion referred to as old power. On the bottom are what I refer to as individualists, or in more common terms, populists. This may also be referred to, of course, as new power. Those on the top tend to support policies that allow for the consolidation of wealth and power into the hands of a few. Those on the bottom are in favor of wealth and power that is more dispersed among the masses. People in the upper half tend to support policies such as tax cuts for the rich, military interventionism, free trade, an active Federal Reserve, corporate bailouts, and policies that help corporations improve their profitability. People in the lower half tend to support policies that promote personal freedom, such as the legalization of marijuana and gay marriage. They tend to oppose military interventions and free trade. They tend to mistrust the Federal Reserve, and they hate seeing taxpayer-funded bailouts of banks and corporations. This type of political map makes much more sense, particularly because we see folks on the far left agreeing on issues with libertarians on the far right. What we tend to find is that most politicians reside in the top half of the circle. They tend to support consolidated wealth and power because it helps them fill their campaign coffers come election time. Most citizens, on the other hand, whether they are liberal or conservative, tend to be in the lower half of the circle. It's also important to note that this type of political map is more appropriate in times of great income disparity like we have now. During times like these, people tend to lose faith in large organizations, whether it be the federal government, religious institutions, or even the media. So let's look at the last few presidential elections and see what our map tells us about the results. In 2008, Hillary Clinton lost the Democratic primary to Barack Obama. Clinton was clearly the establishment candidate, and Obama was viewed as more of a populist. In the general election of that year, Obama beat John McCain, who at one time was more of a populist, but had become more of an establishment candidate after his 2000 primary loss to George W. Bush. Unfortunately, Obama didn't govern as a populist, but turned into more of a corporate-sponsored leader representing the establishment. That mattered little, though, in the presidential race of 2012, since he was facing off against Mitt Romney, who was the ultimate representation of consolidated wealth and power. So on to 2016, where, thanks to a lot of money and some help from the DNC, Hillary Clinton barely managed to beat the populist candidate Bernie Sanders. In the general election, though, Hillary was still seen as an establishment candidate, and she went up against Donald Trump, who was viewed as a populist. Make no mistake, Clinton didn't lose to Trump because she was a Democrat and he was a Republican. She didn't lose to Trump because the nation suddenly became more conservative. Hillary Clinton lost because we live in a time of great income disparity and people viewed her as a representative of the status quo, someone who wouldn't really change the rules of our rigged economy. Donald Trump, on the other hand, was viewed as someone who would change the system and make things fair for everyday Americans. Whether he'll follow through on those promises or simply maintain the tilted playing field for his rich friends and business associates remains to be seen. There's an even more important lesson here, though, than the one regarding why Clinton lost to Trump. Imagine the kind of country we could create if we could get the vast majority of Americans to stop looking at everything as liberal or conservative and instead realize that these divisions are promoted by those within our society who want to consolidate wealth and power within their own hands and make slaves and subjects of the rest of us. Imagine how much we could level the economic playing field if we could stop looking at politicians as either Democrats or Republicans and start recognizing that there are members of both parties who support this rigged economy and members of both parties who oppose it.